pivotal series. Every single game matters, Atlas.
It really does. Let's dive into it. Pick and ban here for game number 1. What are the bans going to be? The mandatory ones against the Quantum Freaks are Tristana.
That's
and
one.
that's a tick off. Italy is another big one, as Cuz is ridiculously good at that champion. That's a tree. Maybe there's a cat in the tree, and so therefore we're going to have the ban on the cat after the tree.
We can't even call the firefighter because Tristana is also banned. So that's a little tough.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man, they've really covered their bases.
Yeah, really well done here. Good draft prep. And when we look at the draft on the flip side, it's actually going to leave the Lily open, which I imagine is the initial pick here. But the Lily has really risen in priority in the LCK, has been a top-tier pick in the LPL as well. And obviously, there is a pretty big divergence in playstyles, but the relative strength of picks often holds. And then Ashe and Kalista, neither of which should be a big surprise. Particularly the Ashe, to me, is I truly believe that Barrow has brought it back to everyone's attention, that that's a thing that you can do, as it is going to be a Aurora that did make it through. We don't know if this is going to go to mid or top, most likely to Bulldog, but we'll see if they actually stick with that.
Yeah, Bulldog was the first one to play it, the first one to get a win with it, and looked pretty good on it last week, as Faker also played this last week as well, and that is a Diana. Imagine if it was both of the Wind Bros and Diana. That would be really funny. Sejuani going to be the lock-in here. That is a lot of synergy in a 1-2 package here for T1. Of course, the Yone could be going towards the top side, but I'm scared, Chronicler, because that is Cuz's Nidalee. And do you know how many times he's lost on Nidalee?
I do. How many? 0.
Yeah, not many.
It's 0 times.
If any.
Split.
Yeah, it's a rough time.
When it comes to the 2v2, not the best combo here. Aurora, as strong as she is, doesn't necessarily have the most amazing setup for Nidalee. I gotta say though, Nidalee Ezreal, that feels like a great one too. For T1 though, having the Yone and Sejuani combination I think is strong because one, it's a flex. I think that Faker has looked better in terms of where he was on the map, but I think mechanically his Yone, a couple of Q misses that didn't end up working out. Ults were kind of all over the place. But I am happy to see a Sejuani picked specifically with a really strong melee laner. And it can go towards top, it can go towards mid. I think it's most likely going to go towards Faker, but we'll see what ends up happening. As the MF pick here, I think is actually really solid. Thus far, the only downside of that is that you are going to be playing into Aurora as a MF, which doesn't sound fun. But the combo with the Yone specifically, I think, is quite strong. And Ezreal was already picked. Like, Ezreal's kind of my go-to when it comes to playing into an Aurora. So I don't think a lot of your other options would have been great. And the laning pressure from MF is still a very real threat.
It's true. I am getting flashbacks to when KT tried to beat Quantum Freaks, and they also picked MF, and then MF died a million times with absolutely no possible way of answering. Sort of just got 100-0'd, and that was a shame. All right, the Braum going to be the final ban here. Not wanting to allow Andil to pick that one up, allow for a little bit more of that phalanx composition, get those pokes happening.
Is Andil going to get Rakan as well?
It might just be that they passed the Tristana test and unfortunately failed the Nidalee and Rakan test. But it could be Carrier on the Rakan as well.
Can R4 it here. Also, to be fair, I think the Cuz Nidalee to me is a much bigger deal than Andil's Rakan. I think Andil has been solid. And his Rakan is great, but it's not to the same extent that we have seen Cuz take over games. Is Carrier going to lock in a support here? Because obviously counterpick would be available to Andil. And he has been pretty happy to go for some of these more creative picks. Something like the Leona is still available. And I think this is a really good call. This is a blind Gnar, right? There is going to be the counterpick opportunity unless they want to flex the Aurora at the top. But I think T1 has also made the call that's not the case with the Cassante ban. And using Carrier's champion pool is a really solid call because there is a lot of champions that Andil could have played that could have made it really hard if you lock like a Leona, for example.
Well, the Karma is being considered. Ezreal Karma is something that they have looked very good on, but Leona is still up. They're going to go with that one instead. Now, Renekton is available and could theoretically be an option here, but instead it looks like they are going to move the Aurora towards the top side of the map.
No, you can't.
I love this. This is
IP.
This has got to be it. Or
Don't
something like
that.
this. This is fine too. Pick your poison there, Dudu. He's got a lot of pretty good options, but I mean, Nidalee Renekton on Dudu and Cuz, like these two have been the backbone of this team, and they can really get them off on the right foot. They managed to layer things correctly. Now, Carrier with counterpick thinking about a rel angle, just needs some engage. Rakan, I think, would be fine too.
Either work. There is not necessarily as much AoE outside of, I think, specifically the Aurora we saw in the previous game. What can happen if you pick a Rakan into too much AoE damage? The Rel, very, very obvious as well. Goes together really well with MF specifically because you have so much AoE CC to set up for these big plays. And for the Kwangdong Freaks, I do think the Renekton can struggle in the 1v1 if he does get set behind. But this is basically what amounts to a pick, or at least a very upfront burst comp. You can slot a little bit into poke with the Nidalee and the Ezreal, depending on how the game plays out. But if you look at the engage that's available in T1, I don't think you're going to be allowed to do a whole lot of poking. So getting the Nidalee and the Renekton specifically ahead as much as possible, which you hopefully can leave the Ezreal in a lane alone, is going to be key here for Kwangdong. Because if you just go on even footing into 5v5s against the T1 comp, that's going to be a tough one, even with the Aurora.
It's absolutely true, and you might be looking at the tier 1 composition and seeing that there is not a lot of magic damage. It doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of true tanks on the side of Kwangdong Freaks. I guess theoretically Leona, but she's not going to be building items, so it doesn't really matter too much. And we'll see whether T1 can just start snowballing this game relatively early. I have a feeling that that is going to be the game plan, but Kwangdong Freaks thinking very similarly, as they have a lot of power in these lanes. And then if they just let Bulldog do his thing, we've seen that this guy knows the combos in and out. He's very, very good at just eliminating a key target. You blink and then they're gone. And we'll see whether Gumayusi is going to be able to play around that, because that's going to be the biggest difficulty here for T1 against this Kwangdong Freaks comp. Dangerous, dangerous drop. Let's jump into the rift for game 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the rift for game number 1, Kwangdong Freaks versus T1. And I'm remembering back and I'm thinking maybe the reason why T1 didn't take away Cuz's Nidalee is because they're like, well, you weren't that great when you were on T1, so like it should be fine. But I don't even know whether that was true. And they should probably have known that maybe this pick could get ran over. Ona very, very good at Nidalee himself, so we'll see how he can actually mitigate some of the power here that Cuz will have in this early game. Because he is just like, I don't know, he's a different beast when he's on the Nidalee compared to any other jungler, I swear. Like, Cuz is just, he sometimes just has that pick. Last year it was Viego, this year it's Nidalee.
Really is. I'd argue that Canyon, his Nidalee feels like it's... What's the best way to put this? Canyon's Nidalee is very smooth, you know, it feels strong at any point in the game.
Yep.
But I think that Cuz is like, he's an actual animal that will invade your jungle, that will put you behind him, that will take over the game. And he kind of needs to, because Canyon is playing with perma winning lanes, so just outpacing your opponent is enough. Whereas that's not the case, very obviously, for Cuz. If anything, we saw with Bulldog playing the Aurora earlier on very explicitly. It went, what, like 30, 40 CS behind?
Yep.
Was getting completely boomed in lane, and then the team fight started, and things got very dire, and unfortunately, Faker is not having the best of time here in the early laning phase, and I think the previous time was into a Corki, which definitely is a whole lot stronger than the Yone, but Faker taking a lot of free harass here as well.
He is just doing his very best to try and sit back, collect the experience that he can find. A lot of awkward health bars on these minions, so we'll probably miss a couple of them underneath this turret. You can see already Bulldog feeling very, very happy with how the lane state is going. And I think, you know, Cuz probably going to be glued towards the top side of the map, I would assume. Started on his red buff, is going to end up there. And Leaper needs to be a little careful. Going to get hit by a double up as Faker continuing to go down lower and lower here. Bulldog having a pretty good time. Zaya's going to hit Mega. Level 3 there as well. And that's Andal going in. Does find that Zenith Blade onto Gumayusi, but Leaper not a lot of follow-up through the minions. Of course, can't hit that Mystic Shot. So T1 are going to be able to weather that storm very comfortably.
Yeah, pre-Ezreal nerfs, you would have won that trade.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit of danger here as Jonas Strong turns the lights off. There's the spear connecting onto Ona. Cuz looking to push him out and will successfully do so. Now he has free reign on this top side. Ona actually having to go back, and Cuz going to pull the wave to make sure that Dudu is going to get this crash. Is the spear going to land? And is it even possible for it to miss? As, nope, that's going to be the setup, but see, it's going to get pounced on. They try to do it, and Ona is there to save him.
I thought that was a done deal, Atlas.
Me too.
But Owner, that is a game-altering play. Like, if Cuz gets that kill, early TP is forced, that alone can be enough. Like, that's what you want to do. You want to get the early lead on the Nidalee, and it doesn't matter if it's Cuz, who in this case would have picked up the kill, or if it's Dudu. As long as you snowball that top side, you can get so much control, set up the early grubs, and outpace the Sejuani. But Owner showing up like a superhero is like, you think he's out of the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
It just comes in. We were distracted, I think, both of us, by Zeus trying his best to live, and
the hop was actually really good, being able to eat the CC, but ultimately just worked out, bought enough time for Ona to come over. And I thought that he was backing. I thought that Cuz had done his job. I think Cuz thought exactly the same thing. Still going to be ahead by a camp, as we can see. Still has a mid lane with a lot of control here as well. So T1 not out of the woods, but you can see here in the gold, it's up 100 here for T1. That first blood going over to Ona probably would have been nice if it was on Zeus. The important thing is that Quantum Priest didn't blow any flashes, so they do have a little bit of extra power when it comes to a few more of these skirmishes. We'll see whether Cuz does head back up towards the top side of the map to try and capitalize on the lack of summoner spells. Sleeper comes back towards this bottom lane. Does have his tier now stacking up, as well as a cheeky longsword. And Gumayushi probably going to take an opportunity to try and match some items here, as he does have a decent CS lead of about 4. So I say decent, not really much of a lead at all, just going to be trading waves.
yeah, that alone obviously not going to be enough, but definitely an impactful early moment that's going to give T1 a lot more leeway. Because if they are able to kill Zeus, then he TP's back on any return dive, especially without his flash. You can really start putting the Gnar behind. Not going to be the case, as now both Faker and Bulldog have gotten it back in.
Yep.
Good extension there by Faker. As long as Bulldog doesn't proc the passive, should be a decent trade, as we are expecting Kwangdong to struggle with his bot lane as Zeus.
Yeah, he's going to hit Mini Gnar once again, so he can now harass Dudu out. Dudu does have his Call the Meek. That's going to help that health bar go back up again. Now, Cuz with a spear is going to find Ona, steal away the dragon, and Andal's making his way in. They're looking to try and answer that first blood that Ona was able to take away, but the spear is going to miss, and Quantum Freak's going to have to settle with a free leash on a Drake.
Oh, if Cuz hits that spear with the flash, pretty sure that Ona is dead. As we take another look at this, yeah, do note, gets the stun, as you point out. Even though the spear hits, Zeus is also able to flash the damage of the swipe.
Yeah.
So that he barely stays alive.
Yeah. Faker giving them some kudos. Glad you lived. Nicely done.
Generally, what you'd expect to get out is a 1 versus 1. Like, Cuz will die as Owner comes in, but that's though, as mentioned, really nicely done by Cuz, not losing his mental, as we know. This guy is very resilient, so ends up getting the Drake steal and the triple grubs. So kind of back on track in that regard with the Nidalee into Sejuani.
Yep. 2.5 camps, the lead here for him, as Faker going to be snapping back. Bulldog just happily clearing out minions. Faker has been very, very good at staying up in CS. Doesn't have a whole lot of pressure in the lane or anything like that, but is at least last hitting very, very well. And is now level 7. So has the ulti. He's ready to start affecting some of these skirmishes. Can play alongside Ona very, very well. Could utilize some of that extra gold from that first blood that was picked up, as Leaper doesn't quite find a few of these skill shots.
Ow.
As the double up is looking real nice. That was a serrated Dirk, would have hurt it even more though.
Yeah. Interesting that we haven't seen Bulldog go towards bot side too much. They get the dragon. Does have good setup, but with both summons available, it's really hard to lock down the MF. She obviously is relatively slippery with those summons, particularly when she has the Strut available as well.
All right. I think Gumayushi wants it back, as Leaper is going to part the Red Sea. And they're just going to deal with the mini wave themselves. Bit of free time given over to Carrier and Gumayushi here as Andal moves up.
Cancel.
Yeah, we'll be able to find the ward. Very nicely done.
No.
just going to wander in and now look for a bit of a reset themselves, perhaps, unless they are able to get this shoved into the outer turret. Looks like the answer's no, so Leaper going to agree. He's going to head home and see what he can actually purchase for himself. A very even game state right now, as Ona looking for an opportunity. Faker going to unbind the soul for a second. Bulldog was already out of there. Does now have his Fiendish Codex completed, as Cuz looking to start off his blue buff, whilst also finishing the puppies. So Ona not any opportunity there, but does spot exactly where Cuz is. Keeping your eye on the middle will be important. He's on the top side. That means that Zeus has to play a little bit carefully here. As Cuz hopping on over, will be able to get in here. Yeah, knows. There is no vision around here as Dudu is going to set up for it. Ona in here. The spear not really connecting. There is the Mega Gnar to come through, and Zeus just picks up the kill, and now Cuz going to be in a whole lot of trouble, looking to try and pounce his way out, but Permafrost is there. They throw down the boulder. He does get the Primal Surge, but it doesn't matter. Now Bulldog's in trouble as well because Kerry is ganking the mid lane. T1 just sort of everywhere right now, and they're going to extend that gold lead to 1,000 now. At about 10 minutes is all right. Bulldog's going to see what he can do here as the flash out from Faker gets him out of the circle of doom. And Bulldog not going to find any joy outside of the Summoner spell.
Good enough trade there, found by the mid laner of Kwangdong, but let's be honest, Owner, man, his positioning, his movement has been impeccable. Reads the play, and that's the one downside of this Nidalee and Renekton combo. It is pretty predictable that you're going to go to it. And as you point out, Owner, he sees Cuz. Zeus sets up the bait, and Dudu goes in early. There isn't a guarantee for the spear. The Mega Gnar is hit, and even with the flash, Cuz isn't able to make it out. So that's flash invested. That's a lot of time, and that's a double kill for the Gnar in a matchup where, again, if the Gnar does find the lead, it becomes so much harder to play. As the Renekton, now Dudu was actually doing, even with the early play not working out, a really good job. Like, he had what, like a 15-20 CS lead, still applying a lot of pressure in lane. After that, though, I think it's going to be harder. And then Bulldog picking up, you know, an ult for flash trade, like, that's nice, but alone not going to be enough. As Dudu, he doesn't have TP, so that's going to be a lot of plate gold here towards the bottom half of the map.
Yep, you can see Guma just throwing his ulti into the wave once again. It's all about macro control here for T1. And they are just accelerating, exactly right. This wave is going to go down. Cuz still going to be able to look for some grubs here. That is going to be 6 on the docket if he's able to take these. Looks like there's going to be no Sejuani in the area. T1 will be able to collect themselves a dragon. Doesn't feel great. Just grabbing a Chemtech. Still, it's not bad. And Cuz actually, wanting to come over and contest this one.
They're down a member here. They should know. Yeah, they have enough wards, so they do know that they're down.
Yeah,
one person. Leaper's on his way.
All right, so they do just give this one up. And Leaper in the mid lane will be able to just push this wave in. So Andal looking for Faker, Solar Flare, and the Zenith Blade are going to go completely wide. And Faker's just going to continue wandering towards the lane.
Yeah, Leaper trying, or Andal rather, trying to set up the preemptive ult there so that when you go in, you CC, but Faker very unimpressed by all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna catch him. Should be the dragon going over. And good rotation as well here, actually, from Bulldog to catch that bot side wave without giving up too many resources, catch the wave, and get the dragon as well. Now Cloud, it's solid, but really, if you're Kwangdong, I think you were looking for Hextech. Hextech could have been really, really big here, given the amount of poke that you have available. Obviously, we're always going to appreciate Cloud, but there are teams where I feel like you get a lot more value out of the ultimate part specifically than is the case with Kwangdong.
Yep, I do think that Dudu's going to be pretty happy about pressing Dominus and then running really fast.
That is true.
Renekton a little bit less mega kiteable. It's kind of what he is most of the time, as Zeus throwing these boomerangs around. And Dudu well and truly being kept down here as Ona moving on in once again. And this isn't a counter gank. This is just a straight up dive opportunity. Dudu knows that he's coming, but what's he going to actually be able to do about it? That's the question. Zeus will stack up this wave.
Oh, the Narbar
towards his turret, exactly. Andal needs to get here as soon as he possibly can. There's a teleport from Bulldog, so I don't think they're actually going to opt into it. They just wanted to get the crash, get themselves out of there. Trinity Force now done for Zeus. In this side lane, he is going to be so scary. And Gumushi has just been quietly farming this entire time. Looking to try and grab some more plates here as well. Got a couple on the bottom side of the map. He's going to grab one here in mid.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of money that T1 are putting together, and Kwangdong Freaks haven't quite been able to find as much of it on this map.
What we are going to look towards as we get towards these fights is how well can Kwangdong isolate a target. That is a power that the composition still very much has, and a lot of that is going to rely on Bulldog and the ultimates that he can find, or, as mentioned, Dudu, who...
Carrier going to crash into Andal. Meganar is going to be activated here by Zeus, as Ona moving on in.
All right, this is going to be big. It's going to be the ultimate of Guma versus that of Bulldog. Can he channel it? Can Bulldog get backline access?
Yep, Dudu just going to shove this wave in. Teleport at the ready. Can actually be there at a moment's notice. This fight for the Herald could be a thing, or could be not. Spear going to connect onto Carrier. Faker going to look for an option onto Andal, but he just presses the Eclipse button. He should be okay. Bulldog just trying to bounce around. Zeus in mini-Nas, kind of susceptible. As Spear once again connects, but this Rift Herald will belong to T1. True Shot Barrage a little bit late. Is going to do a bit of damage, but otherwise not too much. And Dudu looking to try and grab some local gold, taking down this outer turret, and that is going to be first turret blood going over to the Renekton as well. Actually kind of a big deal, trying to get him back into this game.
Yeah, I don't mind the call here. You see Kwangdong, they were really playing that with 1 foot basically already out the door, going like, we're gonna put a little bit of pressure. If we see a really good angle, maybe we go for it. Guma caught that wave. And then Dudu just continually pushing as does get his back cancel. There's been a lot of back cancels.
Yeah, that's been the aim of the game, is who can be on the map in the right places more often. And it's been mainly T1, but that was Leaper finding a bit of an advantage himself. Nicely done.
Seek's now done for Owner. Has fallen pretty substantially behind, as you would expect in this matchup when it comes to the CS. Sejuani just can't really keep up with the middle clear. Mid lane basically even. Top lane, Zeus definitely with a good advantage. As we can see, Strikebreaker is not done for Dudu, which is going to help a lot both in the 1v1 and also with maybe setting up a play on someone like Guma down the line.
Ooh, the cannon. The cannon is going to stay alive for Dudu to collect. Faker really wanted that one to go down. You can actually see just wasn't able to do it in time. Does clear out that wave quite nicely. As there is another back coming in. Cuz going to be going back home after taking down the Rift Scuttler. And this game is really slowed down, somewhat stagnated here at about a 1,400 gold lead for T1. And I think the slower this game is, the better it is for T1. Just because Kwangdong really wanted to get out to that good start. And I feel like as this game goes on, the 1-3-1 power of T1 in this mid to late game is going to be difficult for Kwangdong Freaks to answer.
Is it stagnant or is it just build up?
Biding its time. Well, I mean, that's what stagnant is.
Well, I feel like stagnant has a more negative connotation as a Bulldog.
Yeah, he is going to collect an ulti here. Bulldog is going to be able to bounce into stealth, though, as he gets over to the other side of his circle. Kwangdong Freaks just going to eat a few abilities, and they should be okay.
Well, the damage to come down. Leaper is pushing in mid, as Azrael feels relatively safe. Owner looks to be answering that, but do note, they did get 4 grubs. So at least going to have a little bit of additional pushing power. That's some ultimates gone though. We'll see. Guma just going to pick this up, and particularly when you have your summoners available and when you have the BT, MF just feels like she rules the map, which for thematic consistency I really appreciate.
Yep, I think it kind of works out. As T1 wanted to get the first Cloud Drake here. We're setting up for it. The Spear is going to go wide. Cuz certainly been pretty good at making sure the Dragons go over to Kwangdong Freaks thus far.
Banana Brush.
Yeah, Banana Brush control comes in. As Faker actually winning out in this these trades against Dudu. Really nice. As, okay, Spear going to connect onto Gumushi into the backline, but that's a great Magnet Storm onto Bulldog. Unable to actually finish him off as Faker ults in, doesn't quite find the ulti, and in fact will just go down. Leaper was right there and grabs himself the kill. That should be Soul Point going over to the Kwangdong Freaks, but they'll have to sacrifice their outer turret in mid lane in order to get there. So Cuz will go on over, collect that dragon, and is it going to be another charge? It's not. As Leaper gets to the other side, we'll be able to poke her in the eye. So Owner is clearing out vision, that banana brush, but there are a lot of waves that need help, and so Quantum Freaks should be able to get this.
Wave needs to be caught. And there, the fact that Andil makes it out and Faker overextends, and we saw this in the previous game as well, those ults, if he hits it, look at the kill on Bulldog, but instead ends up backfiring immensely, and I think T1 could have definitely played that a little bit slower. So this setup, this is great, right from the get-go. 2 health bars are low, but then Faker ends up going for the flash ultimate way too much. If he still has his flash, maybe he gets out on the tail end of that. Not the case, and as mentioned, Andil gets out as well. So Bulldog can just back, TP back towards that dragon. And now soul point here for Kwangdong. The gold lead's still there for T1. But as long as Kwangdong keeps stringing these drakes together, they're going to be so mobile on the Rift.
Yeah, and this dragon was probably the most important one, right? Because this gives you inherent map pressure whenever the Baron is up and available. That's going to be there in about 40 seconds time. So I think Color's kind of doing his job for this early game outside of being able to get an advantage for Dudu. That would have made the game very, very difficult for T1. And so a lot of this hinges on how much Owner and Zeus can get with the advantages that they've picked up. Because I think that Zeus in team fights, I mean, he's already scary. In side lanes, the team fighting Gnar, if he's able to get that Gnar bar into position like we know he can, it's going to be very, very scary. True Shot Barrage is going to just sail by Owner, but still the W will be activated.
Yeah, and it was the Gnar that got a lot of people, me included, super excited about Zeus. Back when we saw some glimpses of him already in 2021.
It was his debut champion, wasn't it, that year? It
was, yeah. And his spacing, which he is obviously still a fan of on the range champion specifically, back then, absolutely exceptional. This split, it's been hit or miss, and I think mostly towards the miss column as Guma is
Solar Flare coming in. It's a lot of damage from Leaper as the Glacial Prison comes down. Bullet time is decent. Leaper actually having to get out of the way of that one. Andil's really dead as Cuz realizing he's not going to be able to find an avenue in, and Leaper is still on the run. Zeus gets in there with a teleport, does have to invest that one, but this is an inner turret that they could theoretically be taking down, but instead Ezreal says no. That is going to be that one locked up. Faker now once again going to be ulting forward, not quite doing anything, and Bulldog is just going to take out the minions.
Yeah, T1 is really, again, as they did in the previous series, putting a really high priority on Yone. Fishing for these ults, not really hitting thus far.
Yep. But, you know, if you land one of them, then that's dinner. Or something.
I mean,
do they say that when you're fishing?
Have you ever fished?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was really boring. I didn't like it.
Oh, you shouldn't ask me. I've never fished.
You've never been fishing before?
No, I've been like crab hunting in the beach.
Have you ever like waited on a park bench before?
Yes.
That's basically fishing.
As we see here, Kumayushi, he's just waiting as well. He's living his best life, not using the cleanse until necessary, knows how tanky he is with that BT, so just stands there, and then, you know, when he does have to cleanse, just walks it up. TP comes in, T1 turn to play. I think Kwangdong really got to count themselves lucky that they ended up trading Andil for a TP, which isn't the worst trade, I'd argue, if they can put Dudu in the side lane and try to leverage this. Because one thing that I do want to note is that Bulldog has been playing super defensively on this Aurora. He's mostly been catching waves, not necessarily been able to push, which is why the top side outer still standing, mid lane outer also still standing, and those must be on the mind of Kwangdong right now. Want to push those down, get at least a good amount of gold, and in case of mid, also some very valuable map control, because right now Kwangdong are not going to really be able to threaten Baron whatsoever, because it's so easy for T1 to contest the mid wave.
I think it all comes down to whether Bulldog can string together this Cosmic Drive, as he's going to hop into stealth. I think Owner actually spotted him just there. We did see the vision, but still not enough to actually save this outer turret in mid lane. That is going to be collected by Leaper. Zeus moving towards the Dragon Pit. That one's going to be up in 50 seconds time. Owner with some vision now of it, and Faker will be able to clear out this outer turret. That will answer. And Cuz on a ward here, as we can see, gets a trap down, as Dudu will be able to pick up this wave, but already T1 able to answer that mid lane push and get themselves even further ahead when it comes to this goal. But that is that Cosmic Drive that we were talking about done for Bulldog. Large amount of AP for this Aurora right now at level 14.
Yeah, between the passive, I think it's called Spirit Hopper, I want to say,
I'm not entirely sure about what
as
the,
well
map
as
is well.
as well as the cosmic drive. Bulldog going to be very mobile in these fights, and there is still enough power. Really big there. Sterix done for Dudu. Zeus already had his. Not having that Sterix available means that the Renekton cannot go nearly as aggressive when it comes to the backline dive, and he is, I think, someone that's going to have to threaten Guma together with Bulldog, and we can see already attempted flanks. Zeus does have his Mega Nard that's about to time out, but with Faker also pushing. We'll have to see if Kwangdong, I think they need to pull the trigger and just start this Dragon, force Faker to TP, and otherwise they're going to lose an inner.
Well, Quantum Freaks, they have started it up.
There we go.
Just throwing a lot of abilities into it. Owner is going to get pushed back. He can wrap around in time, though, to go for a bit of a 50-50 as there's the teleport from Faker. Carrier going to get slowed down here. As in position is Owner. There's the Magnus Storm, not exactly getting the most value, as now Leaper is looking to push Faker away. Carrier is going to be taken down, and Zeus, he will hit the Mega Nard, but he's not going to be able to stop this soul from going down. Faker is going to have to rebind his soul, and now he's 1v1ing against Sleeper. Meanwhile, Zeus is going to fall down, and the Kwangdong Freaks are going to win the fight. Oh, Faker taken down, can't unbind the soul in time. And is that just Baron as well?
Yeah, Atlas, that's Soul and Baron to come through here for the Kwangdong Freaks.
Oh, Gumiushi. Have to face check Bulldog here. Doesn't have his ulti, but can still do a lot of damage on this Aurora. Look at how fast he is. It's kind of nutty. True Shot Barrage not really going to do anything at all.
Owner has flash.
Yeah, Owner is still here. This is still really, really risky for the Kwangdong Freaks. They do have vision now.
Oh, Atlas.
E1, can they save this? That's the question. Bullet time comes in. They're going to try and take it down. It's Luma that takes it. Of course it is. They have to sacrifice themselves. None of the Barons stay up. But if we can't have Baron, you can't have Baron, says T1.
But that's still not great. They lost Soul, Atlas, but it's something. They at least deny the certain loss. As we take a look here, the engage of Carrier just so disjointed from the rest of the team. And Dudu, man, keep Zeus out of the... So Zeus did TP back in.
He did. He might kill Cuz. That Primal Surge was pretty good. That is going to save him. Yep, don't have a lot of context for that whole situation there. Dudu is going to be taking an outer turret here on the top side of the map, and the splits continue with Aurora at the bottom.
As you're saying, there is actually no Red Bull Baron power. It's not real.
No, yeah, just cancels. If everyone dies, then sorry, Red Bull, you don't get your little shout out. As
we see here, look at oh my god, the timing on that. It never went below what, like 1300. Yeah. So really nicely done. And then so Zeus TP'd here, I imagine, because he thought that everyone on Kwangdong would take a tempo back, but then they spotted him and Cuz just went straight for him. Bulldog got the TP behind him and just end up taking him down, which doesn't matter in terms of objective, but it does kind of solidify that T1 seemed to be all over the place. Like, particularly when you look at how that team fight played out. So Zeus wasn't able to get onto the backline. Guma was completely zoned, did basically no damage in that fight, right? Not really able to get anything going. And then Faker wasn't able to find an impact either. Did a lot of damage, as did Zeus, but the backline on Kwangdong wasn't threatened.
Arcane Shift is going to get buffered as Leaper actually able to just get out of that. Doesn't even press the cleanse button.
What?
Nerves of steel, man.
Oh, Leaper and Guma, they're doing the stare down, you know? It's like, whoever breaks first.
Yeah, exactly.
Loses. Not allowed.
Come on, Andil, throw a soul flare at Gumiushi. Let's see.
He's just going to take it, man. I want to repeat. Every individual game matters. We are in an insanely close playoffs run.
Leaper is playing real hard. It's okay. Gumiushi can get taken down really, really low. This is 3 items on the Ezreal. He is a big deal. And that is going to be in a turret taken. No Baron, but yeah, still a whole lot of sieging power.
And the rotations, Atlas. Like, look at how quick they are.
It's called the Swift Rift for a reason, baby. And Zeus going to be taking a fair bit of damage, make it rain, but Andil very, very happy to tank that one up. Warmog's already in hand. And so this inner turret is going to survive a little longer. Kwangdong Freaks really have just taken tempo of this game and are not giving it up, though.
Really aren't. And we're seeing the issue even with Gumiushi like staying alive in the previous fight. Like, we just keep going back to the fact that Bulldog ulting alone is such a big threat. And I think they kind of got to embrace that someone is going to die on T1. Because you have Yone, you have MF, you have Zeus. One of those hopefully should be enough to carry you through, because when you look at Kwangdong, there's a lot of bursts. And Andil is like relatively tanky. Dudu can obviously take a beating, but in a long fight, should have the sustained damage to chew through nonetheless. And we might be looking at an Elder Flip in about a minute and a half, Atlas. And
get your spatulas ready.
yeah, summoners are going to be up. Thus far, when it comes to the objectives, we're, what, like, Cuz has gotten one steal, and then Guma's gotten the other.
Was Cuz's really a steal, or was it like a bully him away? I guess it was a steal.
No, the first one was the
that was
the first dragon, Ocean.
Yeah.
That was, and the second one they did just bully them away. Yeah.
All right, True Shot Barrage, not going to find Gumushi there. Just scoping out what the options are.
If Guma can get Mortar Reminder, that'd be huge. Mortar Reminder is going to get a ton of value into the combination of Nidalee and Renekton specifically. Kaliber hasn't actually gone for BT, which is usually what we see come out next.
Yeah, he's got a Brutalizer. So not going to be going towards the BT anytime soon. As Bulldog
3 items. Crit Bloom done.
Yeah, no Leandries on this particular Aurora, but I think that, Crit Bloom was what he kind of needed. Oh, Zenithblade just barely going to go wide, I think, and he'll probably thinking his lucky stars for that one.
16 stacks on the Dark Seal in total here for Kwangdong as well, Atlas.
Yep, and Leaper is extraordinarily big. You can see doing some aiming things here on this Ezreal. Gets over the wall, and Bulldog just wanting to blow someone up. We'll see who he decides he wants to take down. As Gumayushi's been pretty good at keeping his distance from this Aurora, and T1 know that this is a fight that they have to win if they want to stay in this game, because the Elder is going to be so incredibly difficult to deal with. 50 seconds on the Baron as well, so whoever gets the Elder probably gets the Baron.
It's so hard to walk up to mid-wave into an Aurora.
Well, Owner is just going to go in. Glacial Prison does go wide as Faker eats a fair bit of damage there, but the Primal Surge is going to keep Bulldog so healthy. And now he's able to dash forward, finds the circle. Gumayushi is going to immediately flash out of it, and Owner, he cannot press Q to get out of that one. Still, Cuz will be eliminated. They trade junglers, but Faker's going to be taken down, and Dudu is an absolute monster. And that is into the backline. Bulldog, he's looking for Gumayushi, but he stays alive. And he's got the Bloodthirster, but I don't think he's got Crocodile protection. That is not covered in his insurance policy, and there's a reason for it. True Shot Barrage not going to work out. Dudu is underneath a turret, so apparently he'll enter your home as well. Crocodile's extremely dangerous, and Zeus, he's the last man standing.
Oh, I thought that maybe that was going to be enough, but they do waste enough time to at least stave up the game for now. But realistically, this is going to be both the Elder and the Baron going over to Kwangdong. So T1 going to have to find a miraculous hold, and Kwangdong, the last game against the Freaks was a disaster. But man, have they bounced back. As we take a look here, absorb the initial blow, and then this ultimate from Bulldog gets Guma's flash, gets Owner low, and yeah, Owner doesn't die immediately, but on deal with the ultimate, yep, immediately cancelling Guma's damage. Faker goes in very, very deep together with Zeus, but Leaper is able to stay alive. And then Bulldog, together with Ondil, tries to kill Guma, and it ends up working out. It takes a little bit of time. Dudu has to, I think, invest his flash. Yeah, there you go. Gets the Stride Breaker proc just on the edge. And that's going to be the Elder buff going over. Imagine Baron is soon to follow, Atlas. And again, even just a game for Kwangdong would make their chances of making playoffs so much better.
Well, Zeus has been put into a circle with a bunny girl who is favored by the Dragon Lord. And Zeus is just going to have to try and kite it out as best he can. Andal's going to be here as well. The Baron is going to go down in the meantime. So Wallop coming on through doesn't really matter too much at all. So Zeus will be falling. Cuz should be able to activate it with the red buff. And there it goes. Owner now out of position as well, as Dudu should be able to lock him down. There's Zenithblade for the setup, and Leaper grabs that kill himself. Faker is in the bottom lane though. Gumayushi was setting up this inner turret in the mid lane. True Shot Barrage looking to try and cancel some of these backs though. You can see he's going to sail past where Gumayushi was and not going to be able to hit Faker. So he gets back home. But now you've got an inhibitor down on the top side of the map, an exposed inhibitor here in mid lane as well, and Quandong Freaks, they are all business today. It's all about taking this one down. It's into the circle, they go Faker. It's going to be eaten by a dragon. That's 3 on the floor in the blink of an eye. And in the same amount of time, Quandong Freaks finish off the Nexus. They're 1-0 in this series, and play